Well, it is wonderful that they have got something to eat. I'm also happy for the cubs because they're looking massive. There's one that's actually standing at the back there, Seb. I don't know if you can see him, but look at the size of what they look like now with those full bellies, looking almost like adults. I suppose we're going to have to stop calling them cubs soon. We're going to have to start calling them sub-adults in the next few months. They're getting to that size now where they're no longer playful little balls of fur. They've now become these sort of big lions that are going to be helping out with kills soon. I wonder if any of them did participate in what went on last night. It would be interesting to know. So Lauren from Illinois, you say one of the cubs is so dirty it's going to have a hard time to get clean. Well, yes, I think Mom is not going to be impressed when she sees how dirty these cubs are. There's another one that's lying closer to us that is absolutely filthy. It is covered in all kinds of stomach content and blood and everything else, and so it's going to be a long grooming session to get these guys very clean. But what I can confirm is that there is only 4 females here. There's definitely not a 5th female. I don't know where she could be. Maybe she's lying in the grass somewhere. It's difficult to see them in this grass. The grass is the perfect coloration for them, but I cannot see a 5th female anywhere, which is quite puzzling to me. I don't know if it's maybe Amber Eyes who's on one of her missions and going somewhere. You never know. Maybe a Birmingham boy was calling, and instead of it coming to the carcass, one of the females has just distracted him and taken him away a little bit and will come back later. You never know. These things can happen. I've seen with females doing it before, where they lure males away from areas, so it might be that. But there certainly is one female that is not here at the moment. But all 6 cubs are present, which is good, and none of them are sporting any injuries. I've seen all 6 of them standing up. We've seen the females moving around, so you always worry when they have these buffalo kills, because a buffalo can be a nasty animal, and as we were talking about with the female with the hole in her tummy, they can get their own back. So whenever you see them after a buffalo kill, it's always good just to see everybody's moving okay and not limping or not sustained any bad injuries. Little cub, you are dirty already. Don't worry about putting your paws in places. It's almost gingerly trying to step through the stomach content, as you can see there. But don't stress, you are already full of it. So rather clean yourself before you worry about it. Moodle, you say absolutely filthy. Well, yes, like I say, Mom's not going to be impressed, but they will get themselves clean. You'll be surprised at how clean they will look by this afternoon. They'll pretty much get groomed by the Pride, and they'll start to look a lot better than what they do now. Oh. Always love when they flop down on one another, and you can see they're rolling around. It always entertains me when they do this. But look at the female that's standing up. She's got her head right in there, and she's grabbing what looks like bits of organs. I wonder if there isn't still some of the organs left inside there. I can't see very nicely. Obviously it's a small dark cavity, but it looks like she's got something. There we go. See, I wonder if that's not a bit of the lung, because the trachea on the other side was attached to that, so I wonder if that's not a bit of the lung that she's just gotten now. Whatever it is, it seems like it's quite chewy, because it's not exactly going down quickly. There we go, she puts her head in again. Now the female that's grabbing all of that stuff is the one with the hole in her stomach, and just looking at her, the rest of her body looks fine, and she doesn't seem as though she's struggling in any way. She's been walking around quite a bit, and she seems to be walking with no discomfort whatsoever, so I think she'll be just fine. The problem that she's going to have, and I wonder if that's why she's feeding the way she's feeding, instead of the other female that's lying down and sitting, I wonder if she's standing like that just to stop all that bit of blood and rumen getting actually into that cavity. It would be interesting if she was like that, and she was aware of that wound and that it was uncomfortable maybe to sit like that, and that's why she's keeping standing. But look at the power in her shoulders as she goes in there, and the power in her back legs. Look at those muscles. Isn't that amazing? These animals are so muscular, it is incredible, and that will be all the power that they'll be using to try and pull these buffalo down when they were doing it last night. Look at this rippling of muscle in the shoulder blade as well. Very, very big girls. And they're looking super healthy, which is great news as well. They're not looking as though there's any sign of that mange coming back, or that white muscle disease which was plaguing them at a similar time last year. So it really is good to see. And even though it's been a tough time with not very many buffalo, the Nkuhumas still have managed to do the deed and make sure that they've got what they need to survive. So, Andy, you were wondering if the buffalo migrate to Djuma like the buffalo migrate to the Mara. Well, Andy, no, not really. So it doesn't quite work like that here in the Kruger Park area. The buffalo, they are transient and they do move around, but there's no fixed migration pattern. So in the Mara, you'll have a pattern of what goes on. The wildebeest will come in and they'll go then to, the Mara River, spend some time in the Mara Triangle, and then they go back down towards the Grumeti River and into the Serengeti and down that area. And they also cross the Sand River in places too. But here in South Africa, the buffalo are pretty much, they follow rains, but the rains are very different every year. We don't have the same situation where we get, rains forming in a circular pattern like you do in the Mara, and that means that you end up with a situation where you end up seeing the buffalo going into wherever the rain has fallen. So in this year, the rain fell in the far north of the Kruger and the far south of the Kruger, or this last rain season, should I say. And so the buffalo seem to be packing down on the southern parts and the northern parts and on the river systems that are in the Kruger, whereas the year before there was more rain here in the Sabi Sands in the central parts, and that meant that we had a lot more buffalo in this area the year before. So they are not as migratory, a fixed migration, but they do move around according to rain patterns and where they can actually find food and decent grazing. But I mean, these buffalo that you see here, this is probably one of the first buffalo that we've seen in the last 2 weeks, and they only crossed onto the property about 2 days ago. They were seen 2 days ago up in Buffelshoek, and they came south. I saw their tracks yesterday, and then obviously we saw them at the dam yesterday afternoon. So they really haven't been here for very long, and it just shows you that as soon as the lions can find their scent, they will actively follow them. Because remember, these buffalo were at the dam and they moved and they've then been killed here. This buffalo wouldn't have been chased for a long period of time before it was caught. These buffalo were probably in the drainage section and then were chased up out of the drainage to here. Nikki, you're asking if I've ever seen a buffalo launch itself at a lion. Well, yes, I have, many times. I've actually seen buffalo beating off lions and chasing off lions more than I've seen lions killing buffalo in terms of the actual standoff. So it often happens that lions will go after buffalo, and particularly in the bigger herds of buffalo, that the whole herd turns around and comes running at them and chasing them off. But you'll find with big bulls like this, they will also try and defend themselves. I was talking about a highlight sighting I've had of lions yesterday with the 3 prides that were trying to take down a buffalo, and that buffalo bull was doing its utmost best to chase off the lions. It charged at the lions multiple times before the lions then severed its back tendons, and even though it only had 2 legs to work on, it was still dragging itself and chasing the lions away. So I have seen them launch themselves at lions a few times, and it's a serious power that they do so, and they'll hit trees over and bushes. And what they try and actually do, and what I'm sure this buffalo tried to do, if you actually look where it is at the moment and you look on the tree itself, just above the back of the buffalo there, you can see just there that there is actually bark that has come off of that tree. So what would have happened is this buffalo probably tried to reverse its bum up against the tree to stop the lions getting to its backside, and then it's using its horns around the tree to keep the lions at bay. So they often do this. They'll try and find a thicket or a tree that they can use as a barrier for their back, and then they start to fight it off from there. So it does happen like that, and it seems as though that buffalo was there for quite a while, just judging by the amount of bark that has actually been pulled off of that particular bush willow and the amount of cambium that's been exposed from it. There you go, you can see a little bit more as well where it would have fallen eventually over there. It looks like this one lioness might be going off and going for a drink. I see she's disappearing, the one that was feeding. She's walking straight down towards Gari Dam, so there she goes. There's a cub there, and she's then just disappearing through that direction over there. So you'd imagine that she might be heading off for water, or she's going towards shade. There's a lot more shade down in the area where she's going, but I would think that she might be going for water, so just keep an eye on the dam cam. Excuse me, everybody. Sorry, thank you, Seb. That's unfortunately a bit of dust in the air this morning, so have a little sneeze. Or you never know, maybe the 5th lioness is down in that area as well. It could be. See, she's just stopped now in the shade. Is there another lioness down there? Let me get my binoculars out. Well, she's just disappeared in the shade, but I don't see any others. There might be another one down that area. But you'll find that what these lions are going to have to do, unfortunately, is there's always going to have to be 1 or 2 that stay behind and just do guard duty, because if they leave the carcass for 2 seconds, the vultures will be down and they'll be starting to feed. You can see they've eaten quite a bit off the face, and then that's that big neck structure that I was telling you about, lots of muscle content in the neck, and so the vultures will come down and try and clean that up quite quickly. So 1 or 2 of them are going to have to stay and basically brave the sun, and the rest will then find a shady area to go and lie down. Hopefully they will find some decent shade. There's at least a termite mound here that might provide a bit of shade for the day. That's quite close to the kill that they'll be able to use. Oh, have you had enough now, girl? She's going to try from this front end. Sammy Jane, you're wondering if lions will ever regurgitate when they overeat. I have seen it before a couple times. There was a lioness from the Styx Pride, the old lioness, and she used to do it every now and then. And they would feed and feed and feed and feed and feed, and then all of a sudden she would just get sick. And it was normally if they'd eaten a lot of hide, and the hide is quite tough and sinewy, and it's not digesting properly, then they just regurgitate that out. I very seldom see them regurgitate after they've eaten chunks of meat. It's normally towards the back end of the carcass when they've been eating the hide and lots of fur and a bit of bone that maybe they're not able to digest properly, and then they'll regurgitate that out. But it's not that common. You don't see it at every kill. It's that particular female did it quite often, but the rest of the pride's not as much. Are you going to come and say hello to Mom? There we go, little bonding, head rub, which is always so cool to see with lions. They do it often. We know that leopards do it with their cubs as well, but it's just so much more with lions. You can see probably will go in and start feeding, and they take turns like this. Now that they've got this food source, you'll find when one walks off, another one will then come in, and each one just takes its time to feed. There's not going to be too much fighting going on now. They've all had at least a bit of a meal, and bellies are slightly full, so there's no need to fight with one another when there's still so much food available to them. What amazes me with this is that if you had male lions here, you would see the amount of food that those guys can eat would have been almost double what these females are going through. They really do pack it away, and the damage to that buffalo would have been a lot more had one of the Birmingham boys been here. I've actually seen those Birmingham boys, when there were still the 5 of them, demolish a buffalo of this size overnight. So they killed it on the drive, and by the end of by the next morning they had already finished and left it, and there was just a skeleton and a leg that was left over, and the hyenas were then getting stuck in. It was quite actually amazing to see how quickly they ate that buffalo. I suppose 5 male lions is a lot of size and a lot of stomach to fill. I think this female she's trying to work out what she wants to do. You see she was grabbing it at one point there, and I think she was trying to roll it and trying to open that softer underbelly, and maybe trying to get some of the meat that's on that hind leg that's lying up against the ground. You might find that they came in from the back end, and they've actually eaten a lot around that top leg, but now she wants the food around the bottom leg, and so they often do that. They try and roll the carcass, but it's still probably too heavy for her to roll it just yet. She's going to unfortunately have to still eat quite a bit before they'll be able to do that. Maritza, you saying that soon this lioness will be practically wearing her meal with the way that she was going inside there earlier? Well, yes, it's quite something. I've seen cubs actually with giraffe carcasses disappear inside them. So you find they go in from the rib section, and they're completely inside. And I'm talking about cubs that are a similar size to what we see here with the Nkuhuma cubs, and they just disappear in the carcass. You can't see anything but maybe a little tail sticking out or an ear flicking in places. So they do sometimes get right in there, and that's to get to all those little bits that they like. You'll find that there's probably some sort of meat or organ that they want, and that's why they tend to burrow inside and get what they need. But she's almost looking at that carcass as if to say, I want more, but I just really can't be asked to actually do it. You can see she's kind of panting, and heavy breathing, looking longingly at it, but I'm afraid, girl, you don't have any more space inside. Or maybe she does. There you go. And you can see she's experienced. She's the eldest of these lions that we have here, and that experience shows the way that she's going, covering everything up. She's the one that's keeping the housekeeping done to make sure that they keep their buffalo. So well done, girl. And the cubs will learn this from her. Michael, you want to know if this behavior is learned or instinctive? I think it's a bit of both. You know, the cubs will be watching what she's doing and will probably mimicking that at some point in their life, but there's probably some sort of instinct in that they need to reduce the scent so as not to attract the attention of others, but it will be a bit of learned behavior as well. When they're younger, they see the adults doing it, and then when they get older, they will do the same thing. But you can see just how deep she was inside that carcass. Look at her chest where the blood is. You can see she kind of climbed in all the way to her front legs then. In fact, her one leg must have been inside, because the one leg has got blood all over the place. You're also going to have to do a lot of grooming to get clean. Lovely, now she's urinating at the carcass. Lions are not sometimes the cleanest animals. They do sometimes pee where they eat. Oh well, there's lots of dust around. It'll absorb quite quickly. At least it's a dry period. You can actually see where she's scratching now. There's still an organ that will be one of those stomachs. That, remember, the buffalo has those 4-chambered stomachs, so that'll be one part of it that's still there and still filled with rumen. Now they will eat it, but generally they only eat the stomach lining. So as it kind of breaks apart, they'll then start to break it and get some of the lining off and out, and then feed off that. Mary Kay, you say it must smell horrible and it must be covered up. Well, it actually doesn't smell too bad right now. It's an interesting smell. It's kind of a wet grass blood kind of smell. I don't know if you know the smell of blood. It's got that kind of irony smell to it. So it smells like that now because it's still so fresh. There really isn't any rotting smell yet, but I can tell you by the time we get here this afternoon, it's most certainly not going to be pleasant at all. It's going to be rather pungent and not going to be very nice at all. You are spraying dirt all over your meat. You're going to have crunchy meat just now. Maybe that's like their salt and pepper, is to throw a bit of sand and soil on there, but it won't smell too bad now. But as the day goes and that sun really bakes it, it's going to start smelling horrific, and by this time tomorrow it really will be unpleasant, and the following morning after that it'll be almost unbearable downwind. That's when it really becomes quite something, and the maggots and that will start to form by this afternoon, and like I say, by tomorrow they will be in full force, and you'll actually see the maggot larvae inside of that buffalo. You can already see there's some flies that are hanging around and they'll start to lay their eggs inside the meat. So it's going to be soon that will be happening. But it's interesting, this particular buffalo, yesterday I was watching it as it walked away. We didn't unfortunately get too much time with the buffalo yesterday. There was so much else going on at the dam that we didn't pay that much attention to them. But if you look at its horn structure, it looks like a young male, just given that it's got quite small horns. You see those horns turn quite a bit, but if you go down a little bit and you look at its boss, which is that helmet-like structure on top, that boss is very gnarled and very grooved and has got a lot of damage to it, which means that this is a much older bull. So it's a bull that is in his sort of older years. Now, when we talk about old buffalo bulls here in the Sabi Sands, most of the bulls will very seldom go past 15 years because of the lions, and as they slow down, the lions go after them. But that will be a bull that's probably, I would say, over 10 already, but interestingly enough got horns that are tiny. Those horns are horns that I would expect on a 2-3-year-old buffalo, not on a big bull. So I saw it yesterday when he was walking off and noticed how small they were. Mita, who's 8 years old. Hello, Mita. It's always good to hear from you, and you always ask such nice questions. And you want to know if we can come back later and have a look at the horns once the lions are gone and see if anything's grown on it. Well, Mita, we most certainly can. When we're doing our bushwalks, I will promise you that I will come here in a month or two, and once all the meat has been cleaned off, and we'll come and see if anything's happening to our buffalo carcass and if we can even find it. Because remember, Mita, now there's going to be lots of lions eating it, and then the hyenas come, and sometimes they drag the head away, and it's going to be difficult to find it. But we'll definitely try, Mita, and I'll definitely see if I can show you. But what we can do in the meantime, Mita, is before that is I can maybe try and go and find some of the buffalo's heads from last year, from the drought. Because remember, we had lots of buffalo that died last year, and so I can go and show you some of those that are a year old, and we'll see if anything's growing on them already. I would imagine that yes, we'll see some things growing on them, but I will definitely try. So if you're watching tomorrow morning or this afternoon, just let me know, and then I'll be able to go and have a look for one of those skeletons or one of those skulls for you, and we can see if there isn't anything growing on them. But there are quite a few vehicles that would like to come here, given that it is the Nkuhuma's first buffalo kill in quite some time. So unfortunately, I think we're going to have to start moving on. We have had a wonderful morning with them already, and we've been very privileged to be able to spend as much time as we have. And so we're going to probably head off in the next 5 minutes or so. We'll just enjoy a last little sighting of these guys. Oh, look at them, they're all kind of sprawled out now, some very big tummies. By the looks of it, the cubs got the lion's share of what was eaten last night. Look at that tummy. It's about as round as he is tall at this stage, or she, should I say. You can see one of the females in the back there. The females don't look as though they ate as much. I think they almost stood guard while the cubs scoffed down as much as possible. They are at least full, but they're not massive like they can sometimes be. I always find that the females tend to eat a little bit more in moderation than what the males do. The males tend to get so big and rounded that they can't move, and I suppose it's typical to human life. Boys tend to eat a lot more than the ladies. So you can see the feeding is very lazy at the moment. Look at how that one is eating. It's almost like, oh, I'll shove it down because I have to, but I don't really want to. Listen, you can actually hear the skin as it's chewing. Oh, it's stopped chewing on the skin now. Well, there's a few little growls there, which is quite typical of the cubs. The cubs get quite feisty on a carcass, and particularly if they can see the other one. And at the moment there's still a lot of meat, but when this meat gets less and less, and I would imagine this often, bless you, I also was sneezing just now, I know it's in the air, isn't it? But if this gets a little bit less, then you'll find the cubs get quite feisty with one another over the bits of meat that are left, and so you'll find then that they'll fight quite a bit and lots of growling. So I'm sure Tara's in for a treat this evening as they start to feed again when the sun starts to go down, so it'll be interesting to watch. I see one of the cubs has just perked up its ears and facing southwards. I wonder if that fifth lioness isn't coming back this way. We'll take a little drive that way and just see if there isn't anything in that side. I don't think so, but we will have a little look. But you see how those ears have perked up? And is just watching what's going on. Right. Like I say, we're going to unfortunately have to leave now and let some of the others come into this area and enjoy the sighting as much as we have. And while we do that, let's go back to Tara, who doesn't have a leopard, but apparently she's received some news on them.
Oh, hello everybody. How's it? Hello, you alright? Oh, is he coming back again? Because I can't hear anything on the radio. Oh, okay, cool. Thank you. Sorry, just getting another update there. So, we think we've put the puzzle together with the monkeys calling. I think I found the tree possibly where they were calling from. And then we bumped into another vehicle along the road. And she said, no, Tingana is on his way out of there. So I think the monkeys were possibly calling for Tingana. I think they were calling somewhere just behind us somewhere between here and a bit further up. So he's making his way up, and we thought he was going to cross, and we were listening to the vehicles heading further into the west, but now this vehicle's just said it sounds like it's coming back east. So it'd be quite nice to see if that's what's going to happen with Tingana, because we were going to head down towards Twin Dams. I'm just looking for somewhere I can actually just turn around. We might just see if we can head back up there. The alarm calls, I think, were part of the tracks that we were following. We haven't been able to locate any impala or anything like that, so I don't want to just go in without actually having any direction of where they were, because I literally just heard the impala when we were down here, somewhere over there, but it's obviously quite a large area where they could be. So we did another lap around, see if we could hear anything, see if we could find any more tracks, but it's gone very quiet in there now, unfortunately. So yeah, we'll see if we can maybe get a visual on Tingana. That would be very nice. So if not, then we'll head down to Twin Dams. We keep changing our minds, but as I say, I was quite convinced it was he was heading off into this block here again. So, oh, we have a new viewer on board. I missed what the name was, but asking who and what. 10. Was that right? Dan. So, okay, so it is Dan. So, wanting to know who Tingana is. Oh, Dwarf Mongoose just went in there. So I'm just going to try and listen on the radio, because there was a few vehicles up there, so I don't want to bump the sighting. But obviously I want to be in the right area, but we can have a look maybe at the Dwarf Mongoose while we're here. So, Dan, Tingana is a big male leopard. He is massive. A very, very impressive male leopard. And the big dominant male in this area. So he is out and about this morning by the sounds of it. So unfortunately, leopards will hunt these little guys, so they do have to be quite careful. And they will give an alarm call that's really high pitched. Ah, okay, so we are seeing the vehicles on the road up ahead. Yes, Tingana definitely gives you the runaround. That's something I learnt from him the other day, that he's just, yeah, nose to the ground, run in circles. There's some more Dwarf Mongoose just in front of us. The cars are actually making their way down towards us, so from here we might even get a chance to see him cross, and I think if that happens then we can actually take over the sighting. Cheeky saying these little dwarf mongoose are so cute. Yes, they are, aren't they? And they're starting to warm up a little bit in the sun. You can feel the heat coming through now, so they're warming up before they go foraging. So yeah, the vehicles. Oh, I'm actually hearing a vehicle to our left. Sure, he's really giving everybody a run around. Amazing. Hi, Captain Murphy. Dwarf mongoose are not rodents, they are actually carnivores, and the smallest carnivore in South Africa. I'm going to have to move out the way because there's a car coming straight for us. Has it? Did you get to have a visual?
I have a visual, but it's not too far from Toplam.
Oh, okay. How many vehicles are there now?
There's only one.
Just one vehicle. Oh, okay. Okay, well, we'll see if we can, because I'm not picking anything up on the radio, so yeah, I'll just take it slow up there then.
I think the guys have questions. Go up front.
Oh yeah, I was being nosy. I was asking, you're obviously not just sightseeing, so I was being nosy.
Oh, so we're actually broadcasting live right now, so there's viewers on board right now. We've just been watching some dwarf mongoose there. So wherever you are in the world, you can tune in, and we broadcast live throughout the drive, and people can actually ask questions. So I've just had somebody ask me about the dwarf mongoose, if they were rodents or not. So yeah, anything goes. Any questions related to the wildlife? So we've just got some viewers, some people actually on the vehicle next to us, everybody asking what we're doing. So I think they were actually lucky enough to see Tingana, the big male leopard. So hopefully, fingers crossed, we'll get a chance to see him as well. So now she's very embarrassed. Sorry, where are you from? Oh, okay, from my neck of the woods, so from the UK as well. I hope you're enjoying your safari. Thank you so much for the update. So yeah, we'll see if we can get a chance to see Tingana this morning. So we've got a few new viewers who are, what's Tingana? So very impressive male leopard. So yeah, brilliant. Okay, well enjoy, and we'll see you again. Sorry? Ah, where are they? Oh, okay. Thank you. So also just saying there's some buffalo down there as well. So there you go, folks. Completely live. If you didn't believe us, hopefully you believe us now. So I am on ice, Stanley. Well, back in the very old days, we did a bit of everything. We did camera work, we did directing, but the directing definitely looks very different nowadays. If you go into Final Control, there's screens everywhere. It looks very impressive. So yes, definitely moved on from those days, and obviously we did presenting, bit of mechanical work. We did a bit of everything. So why not? I'll be part of the PR. Well, hopefully we've got some viewers there as well. Okay, so I'm going to see if we can find those vehicles again. But I think Tingana is just doing this whole up and down, up and down, up and down. It sounds like they did pick up some tracks from leopard around Twin Dams. It sounds like they might have headed south from Twin Dams. Sean, oh, who have we got on the road? I think we've got a squirrel on the road. Yeah. Yeah, it's probably not the best place to be. Was that Sean? I think that was a Sean. Asking if regular safari guests get lessons about the bush as you guys do. Yep. Basically all I'm doing, and all the guides do on drive, is what we would do as a guide. Probably give you a lot more information during each drive, because you don't get the smells of the bush, You get some of the sounds, but I think it's quite limited. So sometimes we actually just drive and let you enjoy the bush experience. And sometimes, as I say, it's really nice actually just to sit in silence. So we've got quite a few corrugations in the road. So a little bit bumpy there. So as I say, we wouldn't talk as much as what we do during the drive, but yes, we talk about anything and everything, and obviously if guests have questions, we answer those as well. But that's really what a guide is about. It's being the link between nature and people, and trying to help you interpret what's going on in the bush around you. And I really do stand by that. I'm a very big believer in that. And I think if people understand why things are the way they are, or even just if it's a theory, then you kind of become more connected to it. As I say, I'm not holding out a huge amount of hope. I think Tingana's gone back in. But you never know, we might hit it lucky. It would be lovely to see Tingana again. It sounds like it is just Tingana. It sounds like maybe Tandy is not with him. It sounds like they've had female tracks at Twin Downs, which was where we were going to head, and young male tracks. So that could be Tandy and Tamba heading south again. So it could be that the mating is over, and Tandy, the female leopard, and her cub Tamba have moved back into Tandy's territory, and Tingana is out on patrol again. Yeah, I'm just going to switch off and see if we can hear the vehicles. I'm not hearing anything now. I think they have moved away from the boundary. So you never know, he might cross at some stage, maybe later this afternoon. We'll certainly keep our ear to the ground. But I think we are going to maybe head towards the eastern side. I know Tristan has an update for you, so while we head off, he can update you on what he's got. All right, enjoy.
Well, I don't have anything at the moment. I've finally just gotten out of that sighting because it's a long way in. It takes quite a while to get into where the lions are, so I've just come out of that, and now I'm thinking about where I'm going to go. I was thinking I might just quickly go and check towards Cheetah Cut Line side, see if maybe there isn't any sign of little Hothana, where he was left yesterday. I know he was left around sort of between Mumba and Leadwood, somewhere in that area, so just go and have a little loop around there and then just meander around and see what else is out here. The sort of prime goal for the morning was to try and track the lions, so now that we know where they are, it's going to be good just to see what else there is. But here there's a roller going crazy here, so I want to quickly have a little look at why it's going crazy. There they are on the tree. There's two of them. That's potentially why. Maybe they're having a little mating dispute or a territorial dispute. Maybe the husband got home late last night and he's now in trouble. Do you know that feeling, Seb? Because you just like you've been in that position before. You're struggling with your Zoom rocker. Our Zoom rocker has a mind of its own at the moment. But listen to these rollers. So there we go. I think they're still there. Oh, there they are, yeah. You're good there, Seb. Don't stress. So that's one of them. And then the other one is slightly above it at the moment, but they're making a lot of noise. And they're not just the most beautiful birds. Look at that iridescent blue on the wings and that bright turquoise and the lilac breast. It really is one of the most pretty things we have out here in the bush. It's a pity their call doesn't match their colours, though. Their call is more of a squawk than a beautiful call. It seems as though they've settled down now. The other one, I think, is still there. I wonder if they're not trying to find a nesting site in this tree, because they often will use dead trees. And they use these dead trees to be able to nest, and they often look for holes in them. And so sometimes you'll find them make quite a lot of chatter on a dead tree like this. Silky Maiden, you say that rollers, your favourite. I know they are very pretty birds, aren't they? It's always a pleasure to see them. It's never a dull day when they're around. Now this is exactly where we had the Nkuhumas yesterday. There's their mount just on my right hand side. So they've not gone very far actually from where they were yesterday. Are you guys going to stay? No. So our rollers have departed. They're busy flying off now. You can hear them squawking as they go. So ML, you want to know if I'm anywhere near the hyena den or Janet Jackson's tree. I'm probably halfway between both. I know hyena den was checked not too long ago and wasn't active, but Janet Jackson's not far from where I'm going, so I will go check on Janet Jackson. I did check there yesterday. Was it yesterday? Maybe the day before actually, and there was no sign. Hey, hello little dwarf mongoose. No, don't run away. Now hopefully they'll come back, but there was a whole bunch of dwarf mongoose sunning themselves on this mound to my right hand side here. And it seems as though there comes one on the back left side of it. Other side, there's another one there. Well done, Zeb. Sorry, I didn't see those ones. You can see they're coming out of the long grass, and they will do this. They go into the grass when they feel like they're threatened, and then as soon as they want to see what's going on, then they come back out again. And they love a mound just like this that's east facing for the morning. When it's been a cold night, they can now come and sit on the mound itself and just warm up and get some of that sunshine, and then they'll start getting active and start going out and looking for food. And aren't they always look as though they're up to something, though. They've got these little wise faces that as though they've been naughty and are going to go and plan and plot to do something they shouldn't be doing. It's amazing just how they appear, though. You kind of sit here and you'll see nothing on the mound, and all of a sudden there'll be a whole multitude of them out and about. So they do blend into their environment very well. And I suppose if you are the smallest carnivore out here, it is easy to blend, particularly when the grass is quite long and bushy. And this mound will probably in all likelihood be where they spend their night, so they go inside one of the holes inside there. That was going to make it a lot easier to stay away from predators, so things like the wildcats and servals and civets and genets that run around at night, they would easily go after a dwarf mongoose, and owls even, snakes. And so getting into a mound means that they can then hide away from those predators, and it makes for the best sun tanning platform that one could have. Oh, look at the big yawn. One thing about dwarf mongoose is when they yawn, you can actually see that they've got quite big teeth. Everyone always thinks of them as cute, but their dental structure is very similar to any carnivore really, but the length of their teeth in relation to the size of their body is quite long, and they really do have a nasty little mouth that can deliver quite a bad bite, I would imagine. If you see some of the snakes that have come across mongoose, they can certainly attest to that fact, and it's not being very pleasant being bitten by a mongoose. Well, most of these look like fairly young ones on the bottom right here. Joe, you say quite chubby little things. Well, I suppose, Joe, it is winter. One has to have their winter coat on and feed a little bit through the summer to get a bit of a layer to keep you warm in the winter months. But yes, they're all fluffed up as well, just to try and stay nice and warm. When they fluff up, it traps air against the body, and you see the antelope do it from time to time as well, and that just helps to make them nice and warm. You will find, though, that when it gets a little bit hotter, that fur will flatten down and they won't appear nearly as chubby as what you see now. But who knows, maybe in the dwarf mongoose world, chubby is the way forward. That's maybe what they aim for. I'm just listening now. There's a puffback shrike calling somewhere close to me, and it's clicking sound that it's making. There, it's clicking. Now, where are you? You're in the tree above me somewhere. So Sinatra, you were wondering who was singing in the background. Well, the puffback shrike is this click and whistle that you're hearing above us. So that's the puffback shrike, and then there's varying other birds that have been calling. I've heard some rattling cisticulars. There he is. Seb, I don't know if you're going to be able to get him. You can try. I know your Zoom rocker is giving you a bit of trouble, but you see him just on the open branch on the right there? So I don't know, it's going to be quite tough. But the reason why these guys are called puffbacks is because they have this big white feathery structure. Oh, no, now you've flown away and up. Sorry, Seb.
Another bird there, though.
Have you still got him? He's still bouncing around inside there, but they get this big white fluffy ball of feathers on their back that exposes, and it looks like a little snowball on their back, and that's why they get the name puffback. But he's bouncing around, I think, and giving Seb a bit of a hard time. Sorry, Seb. I also don't see him. I can't see him anymore. I think he flew off. Sorry, Seb. That's okay. Now, we're going to try and carry on and see what else we can find. My little dwarf mongoose have all scampered off into the grass. But that's the problem with birds, is they are quite quick and quite sharp, and they don't really stick around for very long. So we'll have to try and see if we can't find another bird to look at. Now I see there are some Ellie tracks here. I wonder if these aren't the tracks that Tara had yesterday or last night. But talking of Tara, she's got apparently a bird, so before hers flies away, let's go across to her.
Yeah, well, going from another one of my favourite birds, the puffback shrike, to the magpie shrike. So they've just been calling. I can hear there's actually another group calling. That's possibly why these guys are calling. So they're marking their territory. So they might call again. Quite a liquid call. It's okay. But a lot more liquid than that. So the long tails, the longer the tail, there we go. Only one was calling. Usually the whole family, when they going through this ritual, will also call, and that strengthens bonds between the family as well. So it's going to be a pair with offspring from the previous clutch, and they will help to rear offspring from the next clutch. So the long tails, the longer the tail shows that it's a male, and short tails are females. And only one's calling now. And there we go. It is a pretty call, isn't it, Kiki? That's why I was quite keen to actually show you. They were a little bit closer to the road when we found them, but true to form, as we went live, they decided to fly away. Now I wonder if these are the ones that nest on Philemon's cut line. There you go, you can see that nice long tail. So that shows fitness. Yeah, definitely Aralara. Definitely strong legs with that long tail. Oh, and I can hear a roller just behind us as well. Is that such a pretty bird and such an ugly call compared to the magpie shrikes. But yes, so that long tail kind of shows how fit they are. So that if they can survive with quite a disadvantage really, then that shows that they must be strong and fit. So it's quite attractive. It's been very exciting. But Pammy wants to know how well can they fly in the rain. And you know what? I've not been out enough in the rain to see them. It's very difficult to say for sure. I'm sure they can still fly, but probably will prefer not to, because it could hinder them even more, especially the heavy rain. Let's say we don't take the vehicles, or we never used to take the vehicles out on safari when it was raining, but I believe you actually have a rain cover now. Hey, is that right? Yeah. So you might actually be able to witness it when the summer comes with the rains. So you might be able to answer that one and let me know. But it was really interesting actually, because they've done a study on swallows, because again the swallows with their long tail streamers also shows how fit they are. And apparently females can see if they cheat. So what the researchers did was to add quite long tail streamers to some of the males, and the females almost realised, you know what, there's something dodgy about that, we're not interested in that. But if the tail streamers were changed by like shortened or slightly lengthened by a few millimeters, then that would actually change how they saw the males. So if they actually increased a male's tail, she actually found him more attractive, and if they decreased the male's tail, then she found him less attractive and she didn't want to mate with him. So it is very subtle, the differences, but apparently the females can see those. And again, the longer that tail is, the more cumbersome it's going to be. Chantel, yeah, I suppose a little bit. Maybe hair extensions on a woman. I suppose depends on the preference, but I don't know if that really shows how strong we are as women. Maybe. But I do wonder, because the magpie shrike, the females also have quite a long tail compared to other birds, and I think possibly because both the male and the female actually help to rear the offspring, could be that the male also needs some indication of the female being strong. Don't know if that one's looked into. That's just something that's sprung to mind as I was talking to you guys about it. Oh, we got a little squirrel. Are you going to stay put for us, little one? Oh, he's quite relaxed, just on the little branch there. So usually all you see of the squirrels, the tree squirrels, is them running off or climbing to get out of the line of view. There we go. I wonder if this was the one that gave the game away yesterday. So there was a squirrel watching out for the lions yesterday and gave a warning call, and the other, who were heading towards the lions, ran in the opposite direction. So they were quite rightly called snitches of the bush. But as I say, if you're on the other end of that, being hunted, I think you'd appreciate them giving the warning call. The only problem is with squirrels, they are afraid of their own shadow sometimes. So you have to take it with a pinch of salt with these guys. And of course, with them being so small, anything and everything can eat them. So they literally call for anything and everything. I've actually seen a squirrel calling its little heart out. And it was actually in the Kruger, the main part of the park. So we are part of the greater Kruger National Park, which is about 2 million hectares. So we're just on the western side of that. And yeah, it was actually sitting in a tree and it was screaming its little heart out. And it was looking down on the ground, and I thought, oh, and then maybe there's a snake. I was getting really quite excited. And I noticed this gecko, and I thought, no, it can't be the gecko. Geckos can't do anything to squirrels. Eventually, after a few minutes of the squirrel sort of really quite persistent, I thought, no, it's got to be the gecko. The squirrel actually came down the tree and got closer and closer to the gecko, and then it stopped when it kind of realised it wasn't a snake. This poor gecko was completely oblivious to what was going on. So, I think we're going to catch up with Tristan, see what he's been up to. I think Tristan made some space for the other vehicles, because obviously when you're on safari you'd love to see what the lions are doing when they're feeding. So it's quite an exciting sighting, as I'm sure you guys may have enjoyed it. So let's see what he has been up to recently.
Well, Tara, I'm just coasting along, enjoying the beautiful day that we're having. It is bright and warm and pleasant, actually. I was just thinking about how warm it is. It's almost time to take off a jersey, I would imagine. But we're down sort of Drakensberg. We're now going towards Leadwood. So I'm just having a little look to see if there isn't any sign of Hosanna hanging around somewhere here. I know that... What are those? No, those are not for him. Actually, hang on a second. So there's a track here that looks most certainly like it could be for him, but I'm not sure. My shadow is making it difficult to see. No, it looks like hyena tracks. Yes, hyena tracks. There we go. So if Tara has got around, apparently they've just found a leopard somewhere around Gallagher's shortcut. So I'm sure Tara can head in that direction, which is fantastic news. I'm quite glad that that's the case. Let's see, no, nothing on Mamba. I'm going to take Leadwood quickly and see if I can't find anything down there. I don't think Hosanna would have come this far north, although if he was following Tingana and Tandi, I would imagine that he would be able to move up northwards. I was wondering when I was going to get this question. So Anna Marie, you're wondering, I wonder how much concern there needs to be for Hosanna and Tamba with Tandi and Tingana mating. Right, now this is a thing that's been going around for quite a while, and it would be nice just to set the record straight once and for all. Now, the first thing is that, because this all links together, is that Karula, we don't know what happened to her. I've seen a lot of things where it says that we're hiding what's been happening to her. We most certainly do not know what's happened to her. We have no idea where she went, what happened, where she's gone, how it happened. There's no idea. The fact that we haven't found a carcass is completely normal out here. As you can see with lions and varying other animals, is that they eat meat, which means that they will potentially eat a leopard if they kill it, and they might have eaten everything. The time that she disappeared was also a time when it was raining, and we lost the tracks because when she came north from Little Gari, the last time she was seen, it rained that night, and therefore the next morning there was no sign of her footprints as to where she's gone. If she went into a block like where we were with those lions now, you can see how tall the grass is now at this time of the year. As it would go into spring, so you would have a situation where it would have been too tall and we wouldn't have seen her, and the carcass might have been then pulled apart by hyenas or vultures. It's possible that that's happened. So we don't know, and really we're not hiding anything. There's nothing that's going on that we're trying to keep sneaky away from everybody, so that's not happening. The second thing with all of this is that Tingana has been vilified because of his eating Shaluva. Now, yes, he did go after Shaluva and he did kill her, but there could be a number of factors to explain that. There could be the situation where she she was mating with Mvula and Djuma, and the scent of those males could have driven Tingana into a frenzy, effectively. He was hyped up on the fact that there's other males around. He then comes across this female, he approaches her, his scent that he smells is of male on her. Maybe, Mvula biting or being around her, he can smell that male scent, and he instinctively then just attacks her. Once he's attacked her and she dies, he's then going to potentially eat her because it's a food source. He's not just going to walk away and leave it. I've seen it with male lions. They've eaten, it happens. So it's not something that doesn't happen. It does happen from time to time, and so these things can go on. It doesn't mean that Tingana now is a ruthless leopard killer that's going to go around eating killing every leopard he sees. You can see with Tundi, he's actually quite patient with her. The way she shoves her backside into his face, she's not really going to eat her if there's an opportunity to mate. I'm sure with Shaluva it was just a mistake, well, not a mistake, but a situation where there was a whole lot of other factors at play. With regards to Tundi and Tamba and Hosanna, both of them have been seen multiple times with Tingana. He, I'm sure, is 100% aware that they are who they are. He knows the scent of them, and at this stage he knows that he's way bigger than them. There's no need for him to eat them or anything like that. He might potentially chase them off a little bit while he mates with Tundi, and he might push them away just to say, you know, I'm still the dominant male, but I highly doubt that he's going to eat either one of them. I'm pretty sure he still sees them as just his cubs and not as competition yet. Should Hosanna or Tamba start to scent mark, start to vocalize, start to try and get towards females in heat, then the situation is going to change completely and they will then be seen as competition. But until such time, you'll find that he's not going to be too concerned about them. He knows that he's much bigger than them and knows that he dominates them. Also, those two leopards will display a lot of behavior where they are submissive, they'll lower their heads, they'll try and shy away from him, which will show him that they are in no way trying to compete with him. And he'll find that he'll growl and he'll hiss and he'll probably snarl, but he's not going to go actively hunt them down and kill them. So, you know, they'll be okay. They will not be too worried about it. The case of Hosanna and Shongile both being seen around Tundi and Tingana mating is what my personal feeling is, that they can hear other leopards and they want to go and see what's going on. They probably still have this desire to find their mother, and they're still young leopards, so they're interested to go and see who this is, and it's in an area where their mom was, and maybe they think it's their mother mating, and that's why they're coming in and seeing, and once they see it's not her, they then leave it. You can see Hosanna and Shongile in particular left that whole scene and didn't carry on. So that's what I hypothesize, and I really don't think we need to worry too much about Tingana and Hosanna and Shongile and Tamba. I'm pretty sure that he can see that they are still young adolescent leopards that are in no way a threat to him and in no way anything that needs to be worried about. He might give them a little chase just to assert himself, but there's not going to be anything unless any of them try and turn and fight with him. I'm sure, I don't know, maybe Tara has a different opinion, or others have different opinions, but that's the way that I feel. There's a leopard somewhere, so hopefully she'll be able to find it, but let's go across and see what the update is on that leopard hunt.
Hi everybody, yeah, we're just trying to get an update. Apparently he's just saying he's here. There he is. Oh, there's that impala. There. Thank you. Okay, no. Okay, so where is he now? Yeah, just missioning. So it looks like we might have Mvula, another big male leopard. Now, Mvula was around quite a few years ago when I was here. I'm just going to see if I can get another view of him for you. Yeah, just going into the drainage line there, so if we back up into the drainage line here, hopefully we'll get him crossing. So hopefully you saw some of the impala kind of saying to him, we've seen you, you can't sneak up on us, giving that alarm call, that and that's what I heard earlier. There he is, he's just cutting straight into the drainage line and he's going up that way. So is he going to go onto the other side, I wonder? He's looking, yeah, he's actually looking up there. Can you see over that log at all? No. Yes, he's going up. Let's see if we can actually catch up with him on the other side. Amazing. Thank you. We're going to try and catch up with him on the other side. Shot, thank you. Okay, so we just need a way in here. Okay, let's see if we can get in here. I wish I could take credit for that, Vival, but unfortunately... Oh, can you see him? Aha. Do you want to go ahead? Okay, so he has already popped out. But yes, he was seen by... Oh, here he comes. Oh, that's nice of him. I thought we were going to have to bunderbash a little bit to try and keep up with him, but he's actually coming towards the road. There he is. So hopefully you can actually hear those impala calling. So when we say about impala alarm calling, that's what we're talking about. Here he comes, there he is. Now he's got beautiful bright blue eyes. And Mvula means rain, which was why they called him Mvula. Because of his bright blue eyes looking like raindrops. So he's moving through there. I'm wondering if we can't get in front of him there. Let's just try that. Try and keep up with him. There he is, just to the left, slowly moving. It's quite thick bush here. I don't know how long we're going to keep the visual for. But we'll try our best to keep up with him. Okay. Now, for those viewers who are new to bunderbashing, we try and limit the damage that we do to the bush as much as possible. So you might see me driving over trees, but those trees I know are quite supple and they'll bounce back up again. But we do try and avoid. I think we might have to drop this area a little bit. Very good. Ah. Definitely James Richard. Very good to see some old friends, getting reacquainted with them. He's gone that way, but I think this is going to be the easiest way for us to get through, she says. Maybe not. Let's try through there. Yeah, trying. Unfortunately, we've got quite a large log in the way. Oh, he changed direction a little bit to where I was expecting him. Senzo has got amazing eyes. the height advantage as well, so I'm just going to follow where Senzo is because I can't see him at the moment. Ah, there we go. Yes, well done, Senzo. Let's say we just got to try and concentrate on trying to get through the bush. So it's always good to have a brilliant team on the back there, keeping their eyes peeled as the cameramen do. Okay, he's just behind here, is he? And I think I might not be able to go that way. Let's see if we can go this way instead. Oh, I thought we might be able to take that down. Can you still see him, Senzo? Okay, so while, oh yeah, he's still over there. So while we still bunderbash, I think Tristan is on the tail of a leopard as well, on the trail.
Well, I am, because I've just picked up tracks for Tumba, where I had him yesterday, coming into Djuma. So I'm just quickly checking around the Mulawati section, because it looks like his tracks are around here. And I know he likes to spend a bit of time in this area, so I want to quickly just check Twin Dams, and then I'll come round the Mulawati after I've checked Twin Dams. He might have gone back south again. It's worth. But his tracks were coming from exactly where I had him yesterday afternoon, straight over the road, and then it looked like he milled around a bit at one of the junctions there and went back and forth, and then the last track it looks as though he's going north. So we're just going to check very nicely, quickly, and see. Maybe he's lounging at Twin Dams. I think the guys did check here this morning and there was no sign, but you never know. Maybe he's lying at the back end here somewhere in the shade. It is getting quite warm now, so it's very possible that he's decided just to rest in the shade somewhere. And we know with Tumba he's all over the place. He kind of creeps around looking for things, so he might just be lying down somewhere here. Let's see. Are you wondering if it's possible for two or more leopards to dominate one territory? Well, here in the Sabi Sands, I suppose, no, not really to dominate the same territory, but there is a massive overlap of territories. So you'll find a situation where things like Tingana, Anderson, Mvula, Quarantine, there's all slight little overlaps in their territories, and they all have little pieces that overlap with one another, but their core territories won't really house another male that is actively scent marking and vocalizing. So you must remember that somebody like Mvula, who Tara's got, he's not really actively scent marking and vocalizing. He's moving around and he'll urinate and defecate, obviously, because he has to, it's natural, but he's not going to be actually scent marking and scraping his back feet and calling and saying this is my territory. So you do get an overlap of males like that, but you will also get a slight overlap of the territorial males. But no, not very common to see those kind of things, and generally leopards are very territorial and they'll try and push out males as much as possible that they seem or deem to be rivals or males that could. Thank you for clearing Tingana's name. It's not so much about clearing his name, it's just he's a wild animal and he does what comes naturally to him. He's not, we tend to assign to these animals, we tend to sort of make them more human than what they are. He's just doing what was natural to him. Now, it sounds like I have a gremlin that has jumped on board, so while I kind of deal with that and get rid of him, then let's go back to Tara and the beautiful Mvula.
Welcome back, everyone. We found ourselves a bit of a buffalo thorn here, so I'm going to keep that for now. So yes, he has made, Mvula's made his way to Aubrey's Road. It looks like he is on the trail. Maybe he's looking for Tingana. I'm going to just stop here because he's actually walking that way now on the road. He might have something in his sights. So I think I was halfway through saying, unfortunately I can't take credit for finding Mvula. This was one of the other guides from Torchwood, I think. But he is definitely walking in the direction of where Tingana was. Maybe we'll see some territorial behaviour from him, scent marking. But Mvula never used to come this far when I was here. He was actually kept out by Yumbi Jordan, who was the big male in this area. And he really came up to Gwari Pan on the eastern side, sorry. Do you want to go ahead? Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, I can do. Sure, okay. Sure. Oh. There we go. Cool, so we're going to keep on the tail. We'll try and keep it on the tail for you. So we'll see if we can keep up with him. Hi Jody, asking if Tingana would actually kill Mvula if they met. They might have a bit of a rumble in the jungle, as that quite famous leopard video between Tyson and Mufuffin Yarn. They had quite a big fight. Oh, there we go. They might well, if they meet each other. But I think Tyson is slightly bigger than Mvula. I think Mvula is definitely in Tingana's territory, because Tingana he actually pushed Mvula out. Whew. Hi, Skulk in the Road, asking if leopards have been collared to see how far they go. And there have been some leopards collared, but unfortunately collars do cost quite a lot of money. Nowadays you get GPS collars. I think they were about 24,000 Rand I last heard. Has he not popped out yet? Oh, is he sitting there? There's me trying to look for him over there. Apparently he's sitting there. Okay. Oh yes, I see the tail. Okay, let me see if I can pull around the front here. I was actually thinking he had gone on ahead. He's nice and hidden by the grass. There he is. So his ears are definitely looking a little bit more tatty than what they were when I last saw him. So actually, yeah, I think Senzo was saying there was a slightly better view back the other side, so I'm going to see if I can maybe pull back a little bit. So I just saw the flick of the white tail. Can you see him through there? Oh, it's alright. If you're okay there. Can you see him through there? No. Oh, shame. No, you don't need to do that. Thank you. Sure. Yeah, we'll see if we can go a bit further back. But I'm just gonna wait for the other vehicle to finish moving. So, just so we don't have too many vehicles moving around a stationary animal. Just try to keep them a little bit more relaxed. Okay. Is that better? Yep. Perfect. There we go. Look at him. Oh. Amazing. His eyes actually almost look yellow in this light. But you can see he doesn't have much of a dewlap at the moment, so that's the flap of skin under his neck. Tingana's got a very big dewlap. Oh, hello, beautiful boy. This is absolutely fantastic. As the comment said earlier, being reacquainted with old friends. And it's wonderful to catch up with how they're doing, and that's the beauty of Safari Live. You guys get to follow their lives just like a soap opera. But the only difference is, this is not scripted. This is true nature unfolding right in front of your eyes. Definitely, hey Dennis, absolutely gorgeous. I'm very grateful he decided to take a break on a termite mound. I'm definitely working up an appetite with these leopards, trying to keep up with them. Recall any Mvula encounters from when I was guiding a few years ago, and we didn't really get a chance to see him because he was more in the east on Torchwood area. As I say, we only saw him coming up to Gwari Pan, down along Cheetah Cut Line. So that I just remember him coming through the bush, and he was big even in those days. And just seeing the light hit those beautiful blue eyes of his and just being blown away by that. And he came, yeah, straight up to Gwaripan Road, turned around and went back again. So we literally just saw him very briefly. Absolutely stunning. Hi Steffi. Steffi asking if leopards communicate with their eyes, and yes they do. So just like a domestic cat, sort of slitting the eyes and then looking away, that is a sign that they are relaxed and they're quite happy with you. So sometimes I'll actually do that to the leopards as well. If they're not quite sure about us, I will just slip my eyes and look past them. So if you look directly at them, that is quite a threatening behaviour. And also with the vehicle, you'll notice that we try not to point the vehicles directly at them, because especially at night if we've got the headlights on, because that can look like eyes directly at them. So yeah, I've often just slipped my eyes and looked away, and that helps, I've found, to relax them. And you might remember Spocko from White Cloth. So White Cloth was a female, she was very old, she was 19. And she had a male who was about a year old, and he was very skittish. And I remember finding them I think someone else found them, and I pulled into the sighting, and he wasn't too sure, but I did the same thing to him. I kind of just slipped my eyes and looked away, and we had him for quite a long time. And you know, a lot of people said he was quite skittish, which was quite amazing. So They definitely pick up on behaviour, and as I say, even though they kind of see the vehicles and recognise it with people on, if you stand up and you break that outline, they can become very aggressive because it's something very different. And we have seen Kruger actually in the past. There was somebody that stood up and she charged at that vehicle, and then she came back and sort of sat closer to us. And it's because they, as I say, they get used to the outlines of each vehicle. So if you break that outline, and it's part of your pre-trail brief, we actually say don't stand, and it's amazing people still do. He's very impressive. Hello, beautiful. Yeah. Perfect. Oh, okay, sure. Thank you. Hope you guys got some good pictures. See you later. Okay, I'm going to try and keep a visual of him and update the other guides wanting to try and get a visual of him. So he is actually heading towards some thick bush, so we might lose visual of him. I'm going to try and go around this way. Air stations, he's jiggered a little bit. It looks like he's fambering southwest, possibly going to come out on Voyaterra access. So there he is through there, but I think I'm probably going to struggle to try and get a nice view of him now. So it might be worth crossing over to Tristan just to say goodbye. But thank you for joining us this side.
Well, yes, we'll say goodbye just now. We're just first going to say hello to some people on the side of the road that are busy doing some environmental stuff. They're doing brush packing, which I'll explain to you now what brush packing is. Hello everybody. So brush packing, you see on our left hand side here, there's a whole bunch of trees. Now this used to be a pipe, well it is a pipeline. There's a pipe that runs underneath here that goes from Philemon's Dip, and this brush packing is just to help sort of get the land back to what it should be. So you can see it's all bare, and then the brush packing on top allows for seeds to be trapped, and there's not erosion that starts to happen, and it actually allows bush to grow through there, and so we don't get a huge eroded gully that will then form here. So that's why it's being done like that. It doesn't look that attractive now, but in a few years time they'll remove all of this brush packing and it will look just like the rest of the bush around here. So that's why they do it. Now it's been an absolutely fantastic morning. We've had all of the things we could have asked for. Mvula the legend, we've had the Nkuhuma Pride on their buffalo kill. It's been fantastic, and we just saw just now way in the distance a big herd of elephants that might be coming up towards the dam cam. So stay tuned on the dam cam. I would imagine it'll be about an hour or so, and maybe the Ellies will arrive at the dam itself. So it should be busy. Safari.